City Christian School Fall Concert. We're really excited that you're here to support our students and to support your children. I'm very excited to hear what Mr. Gopal and the students have been working on over the course of the first semester here and be able to share with us here tonight. So I'd just like to open us up with a word of prayer, and then we'll hand it over to Mr. Gopal. Jesus, thanks so much for this night. Thanks for the gifts and talents that you've blessed us with and that you've blessed our students specifically with. Thanks for the leadership of our music department who is able to work with our students and help develop and grow those talents so that we can worship and glorify you. Pray that you'll be with us tonight, God, as we listen and we hear, and pray that you'll be with our students as they share their talents with us. We love you so much, and we ask all these things in your name. Amen.
We have a fall band concert on November 13th, and it's going to be a special evening as we're going to pay tribute to Alzheimer's patients and victims and their families. My mother lost her battle to the disease this March, back in March of this year, and obviously music is a big passion of mine, and I wanted to find a way to say something, to make a statement for those folks like my mom and my sisters and my dad, who my mom was diagnosed back, it's been almost 6 years this coming January, which really for Alzheimer's isn't very long. I got on the internet and found a piece called Memento. The composer, his paternal grandmother had Alzheimer's and she passed away, and he had a commission around that time, so he used the opportunity to write that piece to remember her, and we're going to play that piece to remember my mom. And I'm reaching out to our community to see if there's others of you who would like to pay tribute to folks that have Alzheimer's, whether it's a parent, a mother-in-law, a grandparent, someone you know in your community that we can pay tribute to, because it's a horrible disease. And this is just our way of saying we love you, we miss you, and paying tribute and honor to those caregivers that are there for them day in and day out. Being in Ohio and my mother in Kansas City, I didn't get to see her very often and didn't suffer the way my mom or my dad and my sisters did. So this concert's for my mom and all those people like her. We love her, and we hope to see you on November 13th. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jeff Haar, and it's a nice opportunity to talk about awareness for Alzheimer's. Our family's been affected by Alzheimer's for approximately 8 years. We've taken care of my mother. Right after my dad passed away 8 years ago, we started full-time taking care of her. We noticed at first she'd just forget things, and now it's to the point where she doesn't remember anything anymore. She doesn't know me, she doesn't know our family, she don't know who she is, she don't know her friends. We stay with her 24/7. Once in a while my brother helps take her, but majority of it is me and my family, my daughter.
Yeah, and it definitely has been hard as growing up watching her. As a young child, she was my role model. She was my best friend. And then the past few years, I've just slowly been watching her and this disease take her. And it gets hard, especially when you look at her and she'll ask you, "Who are you?" Or she'll say, "Oh, you're that little girl. What's your name again?" And this is your grandma talking to you. Don't remember.
Yeah, it was tough when she looked at me and says, "Why do you call me Mom?" It's a tough situation.
I'm the one that takes care of her every day, and I pray a lot to God. God gets me through it. Because she took care of us. Now it's our time to take care of her.
I want to thank Mr. Copal for giving us the opportunity to make a tribute to those that we loved that had Alzheimer's. In my case, it's my father. His name was John Scott, and he was a professional musician. For 30 years, he was a vocal instructor for our local public middle school and was a very accomplished pianist. He was the most loving, patient, and caring man that I've ever known. He showed my brother and me that he loved us in so many ways. And ever since I can remember, he called me Little B, and he called my brother Little D. And in his final weeks of battling Alzheimer's for a little over 12 years, he recognized us with those names instead of our given names, which were Beth and David. I have many, many great memories of my father. He was always at the piano practicing when he could get into the piano, because my mother had the piano occupied for most of the time with her 80 to 90 piano students that she taught weekly. So one of those few treasured favorite memories that we had was after my mom was done teaching piano and we were all gathering right before our dinner meal. My mom and dad would embrace and hug, and my brother and I would try and intermingle and to get into that hug, down by their knees or waist. to get some of that love too. And I can still see that exact spot in my home, in my childhood home, and their image in my mind. His devotion to his marriage and to my mother is what my brother and I most admired. They remained committed to each other for 45 years, and their model has helped me build a strong marriage with my husband. He slowly faded away from us, and at death, it was such a blessing to us that he no longer had to suffer. However, we felt as though we had lost him so much earlier in our lives, in his life. About 2 weeks before Dad went to be with the Lord, Garrett and I flew out to spend the day with him. Garrett kissed his papa and was able to tell him that he loved him very much. I was able to tell him how much I loved him and my brother loved him. And I told him that he was the best father that anyone could ever ask for. And he said in his sweet voice, with a pause, he said, "Thank you, little B." I'm truly certain that he understood every word that I said that day. My father had a very long, sad journey. However, from heaven, praise God, he has no illness. He has been reunited with his faithful and caring wife, and now has a clear mind to enjoy his friends and his music. And I know he is enjoying his grandchildren. It's funny, it's things like this event this evening, like a band concert, that I will often reflect on my own father. I often tell my kids that he would have been very proud of their musical performance.
Hi, my name is Heather and I play tuba here. Our next song that we are playing is called Patton, and it is created by a prolific composer named Jerry Goldsmith. The main theme consisted of a symphonic march accompanied by a pipe organ to represent the militaristic yet deeply religious nature of the protagonist. The music was eventually put into a movie and earned Goldsmith Academy Award for the Best Original Score and was one of the American Film Institute's 250 nominees from the top 25 American film scores. The original soundtrack has been released 3 times on disc, so please sit back and enjoy our live performance. Thank you.
I am grateful that we have this opportunity to recognize patients of Alzheimer. Our family was affected by my aunt, Evelyn Allen, who suffered it for 19 and a half years. Her husband, Charlie, suffered it probably the last 2 years of his life. What was so special about them was they were the only Christians in my family, and played a very important role in my Christianity walk with Christ. Evelyn was diagnosed at the age of 52, and She suffered, went from just forgetting things to later at the end just laying in a fetal position. But a testimony she gave to all even during that time. And one of the greatest memories I have was being a young girl and going to the altar and Evelyn praying with me and helping me accept Christ and telling me next to her own children, my parents, which is my mom's sister, she would do anything or go through anything to see that they were saved. And towards the end of Evelyn's life, my dad passed away, and I went to the nursing home where she was at the time, and I said to her, Evelyn, my dad passed away, but he accepted Christ before, and I know it was because of your prayers and your love shown to him. And even though she couldn't speak, lying in a fetal position, tears went down her face, and I knew she understood. Her husband, Charlie, was so faithful and went to see her every day, as my mom did, in the nursing home, and saw the struggle she had with Alzheimer's, and then ended up getting it himself in the last 2 years of his life. But I know that because of Christ, they're whole again, they're in heaven. It's a terrible disease, something you can't always see like a cancer or something else, but it's her testimony, both of their testimonies live with me forever.
Hi everyone. We are about to play Memento, the piece Mr. Copal discussed earlier in his video. But before I tell you a bit more about that, I would like to invite anyone who picked up a carnation in the lobby to come on forward and put it on the table in front of me to honor your loved ones. As I mentioned, Memento is what we're about to play. It was composed by Travis J. Cross and is dedicated to his paternal grandmother, Madeline Cross. She was a victim of Alzheimer's, as millions of people around the world are, and the title, Memento, is in reference to both a physical keepsake or souvenir and the memories associated with such an item. But it also evokes the Latin phrase, memento mori, which literally means, remember that you will die. Although this phrase is often associated with works of art that feature wrath and judgment, the phrase resonates most with myself and with the composer as an invitation to live generously and honestly.
I'm Rodney Armstrong, and I am the son of Patty Armstrong, and which passed away in August 5th of 2013 with Alzheimer's. I also have an aunt, an uncle, and a grandmother that all passed away from Alzheimer's. So it's affected our family greatly. The disease with my mom specifically started about 15, 16 years before she passed away. And Alzheimer's slowly eats away at who you knew as that person. And Mom was, she was a teacher's aide at school. She was a grandmother to our 3 children, as well as 3 of my nieces and nephews. And she spent a lot of time with the family. My dad was the rock of our family. He was spent a lot of time with my mom, and the disease was kind of hidden from the family because Dad took care of Mom. When Dad passed away in 2010, we all recognized that Mom was a lot worse than what we had realized. When Dad passed away suddenly, and within minutes after, she didn't know he'd passed away. We went through the entire funeral, and we got home, and the funeral home had brought all the flowers to the porch, and Mom didn't know why all those flowers was there. And so we continued every day to explain to Mom that Dad had passed away, until we learned finally from a doctor that wasn't the right thing to do. And it was a very trying time as we watched Mom progress and become another person, regress to childhood behaviors, not know our names or who we are. She knew us, but she didn't know who we were. Another turning point in my life with her towards the end was she always played the piano at church. And at the assisted living facility, we wanted her to play the piano, and fortunately we got that on video. And she started playing Amazing Grace, but the bizarre part was the page of the hymnal wasn't on Amazing Grace, so she was playing it from memory. Although she always said she couldn't play from memory, she had to have the music in front of her. So it was a pretty amazing moment, and it just illustrates how challenging and how different the Alzheimer's is.
I'm Crystal Armstrong. I'm Rodney's wife. Patty was my mother-in-law. Patty was a huge inspiration to me. We noticed some small things in Patty, forgetting how to turn the tea maker on, or forgetting where she put something, and we noticed little things, but we all do that. It was very hard. It was very hard to watch her become someone that we didn't know. We knew the shell that was in front of us, but the mind was completely gone. She still knew that we were her bunch. That's how she, and that's how she would tell people who we were. These guys belong to me, this is my bunch. She always showed love to the kids, even up to the last day. And it was so heart-wrenching to sit with her when the end time did come. As we sat in the hospice room with her, they had found old family videos. And she really hadn't woke up any. But they put those videos on. And she always would try to turn towards the TV to see what was going on. And that was the only time she really woke up. But it's a very hard disease. I'm thankful that they all got to know her. But I hate that they had to see her go through that.
Before our last student MC comes up to introduce our last selection, it should be a large round of applause should be given to Neil Laron for putting all these videos together to make this the special evening that it is. So Neil, if you're here, stand up so we can recognize you, please. If you've been around the band program long enough, you'll recognize most of the people on stage, but there's a few people you don't recognize. I'm blessed to have some teachers on staff at Grove City Christian that are willing to come and help out in the clarinet section. And I sent an email out to local area band directors, and I have 3 wonderful musicians, young ladies that came all the way down from Delaware, from Ohio Wesleyan University to join us this evening. So if the 5 of you could stand up and get an extra round of applause. I'll turn it over to Noel, and you know how these concerts usually end with my reminding of how everything has to go back to the band room. So.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Noel Skaggs, and I play the baritone in the band. Our last selection is named Fugue State. Matthew Scorndorf wrote the piece in 2011 and left it with these program notes. The term fugue derives from the Latin term fuga, which literally means flight. In music, a fugue is a compositional form characterized by imitative entries of a theme known as a fugue subject. The theme chases after itself with each successive contrapuntal imitation in each part or voice, and the parts interweave into a full musical texture. The form was especially popular during the Baroque era, when the fundamentals of tonal harmony were codified in part by the contrapuntal resolutions of dissonance. In psychiatry, a fugue state refers to a temporary psychological condition where the mind flees from reality, usually in response to some kind of mental or physical trauma. It is characterized by a loss of awareness of self-identity. An individual experiencing a fugue state generally behaves out of the ordinary, accompanied by a departure from one's usual environment. Fugue state plays on both the musical form and the mental condition. Elements of Baroque style fugue are juxtaposed with dissonant and more modern musical segments, linked together only thematically. The end result is a musical flight, or chase, through a series of contrasting styles culminating in a bewildering presentation of the thematic material developed in imitative stretto, constantly pushing forward towards the inevitable cadence.
about a month for Christmas.